morning, millennials.
That's right. Good morning, millennial
Even though
bitches.
it looks like evening. If you're watching on YouTube, we're not pre-recording. This is usual time.
Storm girlies.
Monday morning, but we are in the midst of a summer storm, a summer shower, which is a lovely mood.
It is. It's giving twisters. We are storm chasers in the eye of the storm.
It's not a storm. It's just raining, right?
I heard some thunder.
I did hear thunder too. No, it's just giving cozy vibes. We're wearing our sweats. We're curled up with Bruno. Bruno's feeling extra cuddly. It's an indoor day. I want to say it's a chilly day, but like we just had chilly.
No, it's definitely an indoor day, which is completely fine by me. I know I said this was like my swirly summer. I'm getting out. I'm getting tan. I'm staying active. Since the Olympics have come on,
You're a couch potato.
My philosophy on summer has completely changed.
It's crazy how watching everyone be athletic has turned you into a lazy person.
One of these days, you guys are going to come into the living room and I just will be a part of the couch. Like I'm just sort of slowly sinking in. Swirly summer officially started on Friday. The Olympics opening ceremony. We talked so much about it on Friday. Turns out it was at 1:00 p.m. But like I watched it like a normal person on prime time.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the Olympics at length today. And I will talk about the issue I am having with the prime time.
Our first
programming.
story is Olympics everything, including a recap of the opening ceremony. So let's, if we can, I know it's hard because it took up our entire weekend. Let's table that.
Okay, so some other things happened to me this weekend besides the Olympics. One is I sort of experienced probably the craziest pimple on the planet. And I know it's so silly, like your weekend revolved around a pimple. It did.
And why did it revolve around a pimple?
Well, because I have sort of a chemical imbalance, if you will, where I am unable to just leave something alone. And that's, a pimple or, a conversation. Like it just applies to all sort of factors of my life. And on Friday, I think I was sitting in the car and I felt like a little bump on my chin. I'm like, oh, what is this bump on my chin? Cut to, I have the biggest bruise on my chin. I covered it up. I did a good job, right?
Yeah, because what you eventually wound up doing was like a wound, but it was no longer three-dimensional. It was just like dark and painful, but nothing concealer can't fix.
Flat Stanley, like very flat. Also to say, this pimple never got a chance to come to a head because I so went after it with every tool in my kit. So much so I just left like a big wounded bruise, but I never even got the satisfying pop,
One of my best qualities as a person is that I do not touch my pimples. Like they come and they go on their own.
You leave well enough alone.
I leave well enough alone. I have no itch to mess with them.
No.
I don't know what it is, but it's so great. Like
it's amazing.
It's as it should be.
No, I am sick. Like I really have some sort of disease. So much so that like it was bothering me all weekend. I felt like kind of tense, like because I hadn't had this explosion of pus, if you will, that I actually said to Ben, listen, come over here. I need to get that pimple on your forehead just to feel something.
You guys, that is so great. That gives me
Does anybody feel like this? Like I feel emotional about this pimple, not in the sense that I'm sad, in the sense that like it predicates my moods. If I felt on edge at all, it was because like I seriously was waiting for this explosion that never came.
That's really crazy.
No. And now I've been doing a good job of hiding it on social media. Like you would die if you saw what the like underbelly of my chin looks like.
Me. Well, it looks.
I covered it up really good today.
It doesn't look like a former pimple. Like it looks like you harmed yourself.
It looks like I fell on my chin.
Yeah,
I didn't. I fell on my head, obviously, as a child.
Will there be a lesson learned?
No, I will never learn. And you would think, okay, we have a big week coming up. This is the type of week where sometimes like, you have big things coming up in your life and you know not to squeeze the pimple. Just let it go away on its own. I was so sick. I wasn't even able to not squeeze the pimple, knowing full well we have 2 shows at the Beacon Theater this week.
And if you just waited, like eventually the pimple will be so ready
Juicy.
For you, you won't even have to ask.
No, and it would have been a really good one if I had waited. Like I would have just been able to pop it and then it would have been gone in like 3 hours.
Great.
No. But I don't even have regrets. Like, yeah, I wish I didn't. We all know there's no world in which I wasn't going to touch a pimple,
I think that we can make the world we can make the changes that we want to see in the world. And I think that you could get there.
I think perhaps, if I took some sort of medication, I could become a person who doesn't pop her pimples. It's literally impossible, especially like when you're in the car. There's something about popping a pimple in one of those flip down mirrors from the front seat that hits different. If you know, you know.
I don't know. And I'm a little,
and I feel sad for you.
I'm a little nauseated
I feel sad.
At all the pimple popping talk.
Okay, fine. I'll drop it. But just know, like, that's kind of what was going on in my weekend. Like, it was literally like getting up from the couch, using that mirror in the living room to like squeeze more, going back to sit down on the couch and watch the Olympics, go to the couch to squeeze more. It was just kind of this endless cycle of nothing, actually, because I got nothing out of this pimple.
I'm sorry, but you played yourself. Like, there's no one to blame.
No, I know. I mean, I guess in a sort of disturbed way, like I could find a way to blame Ben, but that would be wrong. That would be wrong today.
Totally. Well, I'm sorry for that. I had a big reading weekend. We're recording The Redheads today, and we read A Snitch's Choice, which I'm so glad for because it was so the vibe.
Right.
It's so swirly summer. We read The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. It's their new book. And no, they're not they, thems. They are two women.
To me,
it's two hers.
She, hers, two girls, they like combine their names. One of them is Christina, one of them is Lauren, and they go by this author duo named Christina Lauren. And people like years into their reading journey find out that it's actually two girls writing together. Like, I'm sorry, when I'm referring to them, it's going to be she. Like, your name is Christina Lauren, you're a girl, like you're one person, bye.
Yeah, and I think that's how they wanted it to be. They wouldn't have given themselves like a first name, last name. If they would have put both their names on the cover. This is like their pen name. So we'll have to talk about that on The Redheads, how we're going to talk about the authors.
And do you feel this call, like something about putting both names on the cover? It's like, oh, I'm not reading that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, well,
I think it's bad for business.
This new thing happens where like popular authors will collab with each other.
Yeah.
Like existing popular authors.
Followings.
Yeah, so it could be like Beatrice Williams, who's like historical fiction, and Kristen Hanna. Or it was like James Patterson and Dolly Parton.
Okay.
I just want to say, like, I did read both of those books that I'm talking about, but maybe I'm only talking about them because I read them. It doesn't make me want to read a book more. And also, I feel kind of like it must be weird to write with a friend, especially like the book was really sexy. Like,
okay,
does one person take the sexy part?
I was gonna say there's definitely one person in the
sexiness?
duo who's like the sexy person. The other's like the more of like the narration girl. Like they each have their strengths.
Honestly, that would make sense and make it okay.
I also think when you write so much sexy text, you become desensitized. It's literally not weird. It's just like your like work, you know?
I guess so. But
should we collab on a sexy novella?
And you would do the sexy, and then I would do the...
you would do the sexy for sure.
But
that's so you.
That's literally so you.
No, Jax would have to do the sexy.
And then I would do like the...
Comment below. Would you rather read a sexy book written by me or Jax?
Oh, that's a different question.
I would definitely rather read
Those are two separate books.
Oh, that's true. Would you rather read a book, a collab book where Jackie writes the sex parts or I write the sex parts? Sound off in the comments.
And then you have to... The other person writes like the actual fucking story,
right?
Like making the plot move along,
right. Oh, speaking of plot, we were
but
talking about this.
I want to say also, this was the first Christina Lauren book I've ever read, which is crazy.
What?
Because we're always talking about them.
You never read Love in Other Words?
No, I didn't read On Honeymooners.
Don't.
All of these books like I've had on my TBR, but I've never actually read. And as a first one, I feel like usually like the new book of a hot author that comes out is not that great. But I really liked it, and I would totally read more.
You should read Love in Other Words.
I will, maybe.
I just made Shannon read it. She loved it.
That's the sort of books I need to be reading right now because I'm not really going to read anything more than that.
Yeah.
But I want to be reading. It's a fun thing to do. It's certainly very swirly summer.
Girls got to read, you know?
Or not. I've only read Redheads books this year.
That's okay.
Yeah. No, but I'm glad for the Redheads that I read a book this weekend. I'm excited to talk about it with the swirlies. And if you're looking to read something, The Paradise Problem, you should read it. It's a very you book.
A lot of people told me to read it along with the Redheads. And it's when I finish this book that I'm currently reading, I will. We were talking about this offline briefly. And I don't know if you made it a story. She didn't like formally respond, but Ballerini Farm like has released a piece of content, the first since the Times article.
It's not a story, but I'm happy to talk about it.
Well, she put out this reel, was, very aesthetic. Her, the husband, and the baby, who, according to the author, never leaves her chest. And it was basically explaining they were doing like a dairy date night. They have this like new dairy at their
Oh, I watched it without sound. So to me, it was just like a beautiful moving image of them in the field.
Well, she did a voiceover.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it. No offense.
The overall message was like, I'm dairying and I'm dating, me and my husband. It was very much like standing by her farm and standing by her man.
Yes, stand by your man.
And I think it was, I think the essence of it was like, this is the life I'm choosing to lead, TTYL.
I saw in my algorithm a thread, like they were trying to get me to go to Thread. So what I want to, I don't know how to call.
Give it up with
I don't know how to
Threads.
call what I saw, but I saw like, I guess a thread, but I'm not on Thread. So
no, sometimes you scroll through Instagram and your feed will be like, this is a thread you might like, and you feel compelled to read it. You tap it and it takes you to the app store.
So concisely, I saw a take.
Yep.
Someone's take about Ballerini Farm. And I didn't read the whole thing because I would have had to click out. But I think what the person was saying was like, this piece on Ballerini was really important because like, it's important to see that like the content creators that we follow, that they're only showing us what we want to see, and like that we should see like the rest of them and get the whole full picture of these people that we're following. And I disagree so vehemently with that. Like if you're an internet user and you don't know yet, like this is the highlight reel, like these are the best moments, get off the internet.
Agreed.
Like how did
You're ill-equipped.
What do you think is going on here?
Agreed.
Also, you don't even have to be so savvy to know that. Like you post 2 minutes of content a day, your day is 24 hours. Other things happened that day. It's
correct.
Simple math.
No, and the underlying like theme of that thread is that someone who chooses to do content creation for a living is not entitled to any sort of privacy and is like, you know, it's incumbent on them to share every part of their life. I don't agree with that either.
No, and like if I follow a content creator because I like her life or her family life or whatever, that I must know like the dirty details of her marriage or the things that they fight about. Every couple has like their core issues. So I don't need to know that.
No, I don't agree. That's a bad take.
Like horrible take.
Yeah. Especially someone like Ballerina. Like people follow her. It's very aesthetic. It's very aspirational. I don't think there are a lot of people who follow her because she's relatable. Like her husband's an heir.
Yeah, but also I think that maybe they follow her because there are parts of her life that they're inspired by, which I do think she's very inspirational. But I don't think that we're entitled to now know everything about her just because we like certain things. I don't think that way about anyone.
Same.
And I think that's a really bad way of thinking, a very entitled way of thinking.
Agreed.
Like you feel entitled to people when like they're just giving you something, you can take it or you can leave it.
Not only that, people don't look enough at like influencing and content creation as a job. And so the expectations you put on someone whose job is content creating, you would never put that expectation on someone who works in an office, you know?
Right.
Like it's their job. People like that's how I always feel like when something happens in the world and people are like, I can't believe an influencer's posting at a time like this. It's like, well, you went to work. No, like I think it's really important. I think it actually will help a lot of people if you start looking at influencers, because people make these grand statements about influencers and they're often projecting onto influencers what's going on in their own life. And I think if you start looking at influencers and people just on the internet, more so as people just doing their jobs and less as like these things that should like mean so much to you, it's not healthy to see yourself so heavily in somebody on the internet. Like Jackie said, it's 2 minutes of a day out of 24. Like, of course it's going to be different than yours. And of course it's not real.
And of course it's not the whole picture. How could it possibly be?
But then at the end of the day, it just comes back to what I was saying on Friday. It's all about media literacy.
It is about.
And I think we have a big media literacy issue in this country.
But I also think that the media has a really hard time understanding that the people of this country are literate.
Right.
You know what I mean? That we can watch Ballerina Farm and we're not like, I want to be like Ballerina.
Yeah.
I will do as she does. And like that we know what we're seeing. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No,
Thanks,
that's why.
Teach.
That's why like.
We got it.
Like, you know, thinking, like seeing things and not just like seeing someone else's take and being like, yeah, that's my take. No, why don't you like think critically?
Or sometimes it's hard to have like your own hot take. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I like to listen to a lot of different takes, maybe 10.
Before you come up with your own.
I know, and then maybe there's one that like really resonates with you. Mm-hmm. But like don't just hear one and regurgitate it.
Unless it's ours. No,
unless it's ours. Because we've done the hard work. That's the point.
So Ballerini in her own way has responded. I think that's probably the end of the saga. I don't think she's really ever going to formally speak on it.
Right. And I do think she should be posting now more than ever because she's so visible. Like this is good for business.
It's a business, right.
And I think the people who didn't like her are happy to see her coming down. I think the people who like and support her like
are going to lift her up.
Are going to lift her up and like feel like she was wronged. And I don't think anyone's mind was really changed.
No, me neither. I agree.
Per usual.
So that was just like a mini story before the stories.
Yeah, the stories today. Well, Olympics is literally going to be a 3-hour-long recap because of opening ceremony and then also the Olympics and the sporting.
So much has happened since the ceremony.
Right, but also like just like everything, the infrastructure. We need to talk about everything that they're doing.
And then like stories coming out of the Olympics. Like, I don't know if you saw, they say that Lady Gaga's engaged.
Yes, that is a subsequent story.
So we'll talk about that.
As part of the 4 ancillary stories that are like celebrity nothingness. However, there's one story in the 4 that like I'm desperate to get to. You're gonna love it.
Well, the last thing I wanted to say before we officially talk about nothing but the Olympics is that I saw Chris Humphries this weekend. I totally forgot to tell you that.
You are always seeing Chris Humphries.
It's not like a me thing. Chris Humphries is like always out and about at thirsty events.
You don't think it's the universe trying to tell you that you and him should be friends?
I think it's that we're both like extremely thirsty.
Yeah.
He was at Surf Lodge this weekend.
You have like common goals, common interests.
Yeah, it's so true. Actually, I actually have a lot in common with Chris Humphries.
You do. Love of Kim.
I completely agree. And I saw him. He looked very handsome.
Okay.
He was looking good. That's really all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys, our annual check-in on Chris Humphries, he's doing okay.
Check.
It's
kind of how like I have to talk about Tariq El Moussa at least once a week. I have to see Chris Humphries at least once a year in order for like the world to keep going on as it should.
Yeah. No, there are a lot of things we have on our checklist.
Correct.
But it is Monday, so if you just want to check off like Tariq's hike, go ahead.
You know, one of my favorite things to talk about is Tarek El Moussa, and actually so many people tagged me in this TikTok he made.
He was dancing the apple?
Him and Heather.
I couldn't stop watching it.
It was a compelling piece of content, I'll give him that. And it just reminded me of that one time he took a gun on a hike. There, check.
Was he always this jacked?
No, he definitely looks like he's roided up for sure.
I couldn't stop watching them dancing.
Like it's so funny. I remember, this doesn't happen with everyone, but certain people in my mind are like frozen in time. Like I only see them, and I see him like when he first came into my life, like him and Christina on that show. They were like the so wannabe Chip and Jo. They like had no chemistry with one another. The ugliest style on the planet when it came to interior decor. And he was very skinny and like lanky. To me, he will always be that Tarek.
Oh, that's sad for him because he's like doing the Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, he got like Botox. He definitely looks like smooth.
Yeah, he's
roided.
like LA Tarek now.
Yeah, Larek.
La Tarek and La Turd.
La Tarek and La Turd.
That's a cute duo. Name a more iconic duo.
You literally can't.
No, you can't. Not in this
but
universe.
Try.
Okay, I think without further ado, we need to get into the Fast 5 stories that you need to know.
And the Fast 5 stories that you need to know are brought to you by Stamps.com. Work-life balance doesn't feel realistic when you're working through lunches or staying late to catch up. So free up the time consumed by tedious mailing and shipping tasks with Stamps.com. They streamline your postage needs, making your business more efficient and putting more life into your work-life balance. So take care of all your mailing and shipping wherever you are, even on the go with the Stamps.com mobile app. All you need is a computer and a printer. They'll even send you a free scale. You can easily schedule package pickups through Stamps.com and their dashboard, and they'll automatically help you see the cheapest and the fastest shipping options from different carriers. I think the best part about Stamps.com is the discounts that you get when you use Stamps.com. So you can get rates that you can't find anywhere else, like up to 89% off USPS and UPS. You can order mailing and shipping supplies, labels, even printers from their supply store when you run low. So whether you have a small business to a multi-location organization, Stamps.com will handle all your mailing and shipping needs while reducing costs and increasing profit. Seamlessly connect with every major marketplace and shopping cart if you sell online, and access to UPS and USPS mailing services that you need to run your business. So put more life into your work-life balance with Stamps.com. Sign up today with promo code TOAST and you'll receive a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale. There are no long-term commitments or contracts required, but only when you go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page and enter code TOAST. That's Stamps.com, STAMPS.com. Click the microphone at the top of the page, enter code TOAST. As businesswomen ourselves, girl bosses and CEOs, we know how valuable it is to always be using Stamps.com. So
ourselves.
Don't miss it. Today's episode is also brought to you by Built Rewards. Listen up if you rent. Do you ever feel like you're stuck in this endless loop of rent payments, basically watching your money vanish into thin air? Well, it's time to turn that rent game around and start earning serious rewards, and that's where Built Rewards comes in. Built is breaking ground as the first rewards program that hooks up renters with points for rent. So even if you're still rocking the old school rent check vibe, Built Rewards has got your back. They will mail a check for you every month, basically like having a personal rent paying assistant. Every month, pay your rent and watch the Built points roll in. I am friends with Brian Kelly, the points guy. I have been on Built Rewards like for a while. I actually invested in the company when I first heard about it. I thought it was so brilliant. I rent, as if you live in New York City, you know how rent is like seriously the most frustrating thing ever. It's like lighting money on fire. And now to be able to get something in return for it is so fabulous. There are so many different ways to cash in on your Built Rewards. You can use points to jet off on a dream vacation, put your points towards a flight or hotel stay. With 500 plus airlines and 700,000 plus hotels and property partners, you can use your points to sweat it out, redeem your points to book fitness studio classes. You can also use your points towards a future rent payment or towards a future down payment on a home. So pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. They've been consistently ranked as the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. So earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/toast. That's joinbilt.com/toast. Make sure to use our link so they know that we sent you at joinbuilt.com/toast to start earning points with your rent payments today. Today's episode is also brought to you by the Farmer's Dog, right? You hear that, Brew? Today's about you.
Russell.
The days are warmer, the walks are longer, and one easy way to help your dog shine this season is with fresh, healthy food from the Farmer's Dog. The Farmer's Dog makes real, fresh dog food and delivers it right to your door. Their recipes are developed by vet nutritionists, they're made from real meat and veggies, and they're portioned just for your dog, making it easy to say goodbye to burnt brown balls and feeding your dog real food with real benefits. So many different benefits when you switch your dog to a healthy dog food. I remember when Theo switched, he had like a really bad breath problem. It was like seriously like unbearable at some points. So their breath feels so much better. Their coat is much shinier. That you can feel like the difference in their energy. Their digestion is much more regular and much more better sized. They'll go, to the bathroom at the same time every day. You're just really regulating them. They also send the food pre-portioned specifically for your dog based on their unique needs, which makes it easy to help your dog maintain their ideal weight. It's one of the biggest predictors of a full, healthy life. Dogs at a healthy weight can live up to 2.5 years longer than overweight dogs. With Cavaliers, we're always really, really conscious of their weight because they are predisposed to heart issues. So staying on top of their diet, like we're kind of toxic about it, but it is really important. So get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/thetoast. Plus you're going to get free shipping, but only when you go to thefarmersdog.com/toast to get 50% off and free shipping. That's thefarmersdog.com/toast, thefarmersdog.com/TOAST.
Thank you, TURT.
You're welcome, JACKLIENE. No, that's not how you spell your name.
That's not how you spell.
You know.
You know.
You knew what I meant.
Our first story, Olympics 2024, Paris. So much has happened since we last saw you guys, kicking off with the opening ceremony, which as Turdy stated, I don't know why I couldn't just like use my brain for 2 seconds to remember that like France is ahead of us. So if it was going to be on before us, it wouldn't have been 1 a.m. in the evening. It would have been 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
Before I get to my thoughts, I just want to say how annoyed I am. Like, I know that that's how the world works. Like France, it's a different time. But the fact that like their Olympic day starts at 3 a.m. our time, that by the time most of us are up and able to like turn on the TV, we've missed half the day. I find it so frustrating. And I know that NBC, they tried. Like, they're like, okay.
They repackage everything for prime time.
They say, we'll air it live, but when everybody gets home from work at 7 p.m., we're going to replay it as if it's live, which I like, except A, you miss it all. I mean, you spoil it all because of social media. Like, if Simone were to do something, we would have seen it already on Twitter. It's just annoying. And 2, no shade to NBC, but like seriously, you guys are clickbaity as fuck. They're like, they get everyone to tune in at 7 p.m. and they're like, we're all here to see Simone, obviously. Like last night it was Simone. And they're like, Simone Biles, after the break. Then they come to break and they go to swimming. Like they really use her to like bait us into watching for 3 hours when we literally need to watch 25 seconds. We just came for Simone. It's so annoying. There are so many commercials.
They have you sat. It's a Sunday night. You want 25 seconds. You're going to wait 3 hours.
There are so many commercials. Like seriously, so fucking frustrating.
And we see them over and over again. And some of them are a little weird.
Okay. I can't deal with that Gemini AI commercial. And I do want to say, I actually have really been enjoying the fruits of Gemini. So Google has their own AI now. It's called Gemini. And actually, if you Google a question, instead of getting a bunch of links, AI gives you the answer.
Put together an answer for you.
Thank you. I've actually noticed it. I find it so helpful.
No, but it's getting weird because, like, of course, you made a big commercial and you're going to play it during the Olympics, and there's a lot of commercials, so we're going to see it 1,000 times. But like, we're seeing it too much, and like, I don't expect a new commercial, and I guess for some people it's the first time they're seeing it, but like, it's weird to watch the same commercials over and over again.
Do you know what commercial I saw only once, and I need to see it again because I need you to see it? Simone Biles for Manjaro.
I saw it. You were like, you couldn't get over Simone Manjaro?
Well, so it was Simone and her mom. I think her mom might have diabetes, and I forget that Manjaro is a diabetes drug in addition to being a weight loss drug. And so I think they weren't talking about weight loss in the commercial. They were just really talking about like diabetes. I was just like, what on earth?
Yeah, you were. But I think if her mom, unfortunately, if that she does have diabetes, then that's a really great partnership.
Of course, I know. Maybe Manjaro's changed her life. We love.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of, because I need to get to this too, I watched first 2 episodes of Simone Biles' documentary on Netflix, which I had been seeing, but I hadn't had time to watch. And before the Olympic opening ceremonies, I was like trying to get myself juiced.
You were getting in the game.
It was amazing.
You're like an athlete.
And at first I was like, I'm not really interested in watching a documentary about like the time where she was struggling. Like, she's the GOAT. I want to see the GOATiest moments.
Good times.
However, I will say, I think it really was helpful. They kind of like painted with a broad brush. They were like, oh, Simone Biles mental health, Simone Biles mental health. When at the end of the day, it was like so much more than that.
Yeah.
And it's like this chronic condition that gymnasts experience called the twisties, which I don't like the name of it because it sounds like deeply unserious, and it actually is really dangerous. And that's why she like had to full blown stop, because if she did it with the twisties, she could have broken her neck. Like,
yeah.
It was amazing. I'm obsessed with her. And I also didn't know about her family background. She kind of has like a crazy story. She was in foster care, and she calls her parents, you know, mom and dad, but they're actually her grandparents biologically. And it's actually her dad's daughter had 4 children, Simone being one of them. And
her grandpa's daughter.
Excuse me. Yeah. Her grandpa's. Yeah.
So she's her dad's daughter.
Her grandpa had a daughter who had 4 kids, Simone being one of them. She was not able to take care of them. They ended up in foster care. And then the grandparents ended up taking Simone and her sister. And then 2 of the other siblings ended up moving to Cleveland with another family member, an aunt. So it was like a situation that probably could have turned out way worse had her grandparents not stepped in. And I didn't know that about her.
Yeah.
Just like fun fact. And there's a lot of discourse in the culture about her marriage.
Right.
Because of, you know, that thing he said one time.
Right.
And I just want to say no one was clowning on it more than me.
Right.
I have moved on. Like the documentary, they have a really nice life. And I actually think like having such a stable force in her life was a key to her getting back on the mat. Like I actually love them. And yeah, he's like a little cringe in some of the things that he says. And it must be hard to like not only have a wife who's like, you know, the goatiest goat, but you're also in the same field. You're also an athlete.
Yeah. He's navigating those waters.
And you know what? He's going to say some weird things.
Okay.
And I actually think
you're going to give him grace.
I think he's really good for her. Like, I think he helps her a lot. And I think like the stability, they were like building a house, having this like stable, you know, home life
allows you to be creative and violent in your work.
Exactly. So you know what? Personally, everybody jokes like, and still she can't do anything on social media without the comments being like, oh, is that Mrs. Owens? Like they joke like that he didn't know who she was. I do have questions about like him not knowing who she was, but all that to say, I'm moving on.
Having a boring home, what was it? Ordinary
home life.
Live an ordinary life so that you can be creative and violent in your work, like Simone Biles.
And yeah, and so a part of her, you know, rehabilitation was therapy because they say twisties has a lot to do with like what's going on in your life, and there's usually something bigger going on. And I think that, especially given her childhood that we were just talking about, I think having this really stable force at home was a huge catalyst in her recovery. I really do.
That's beautiful.
So you're not going to catch me making jokes about it anymore because
it all comes back to Flaubert.
You're watching me move on.
And if Claudia can, like all of you can.
If Claudia can, because you know I let go of nothing. So before we got into the opening ceremonies, I just want to say all that. NBC, do better. Simone, queen. I highly recommend the documentary. I haven't even finished it yet.
Great. Well, thank you for that. Now for the Olympics recap that we've been teasing.
So the opening ceremonies did happen at 1 p.m. our time. Now NBC did their thing and they repackaged it at 7. And honestly, I found the Olympic ceremony when I watched it at 7 to be so long and so boring. I cannot, and ours was edited. They like took stuff out. There was probably like downtime. Yeah. I think all in all, it was 3 or 4 hours, and that was the edited version. So not necessary.
I think it was 4 hours because it was like right after 7, and I think we finished like right after 11. Very long, but it's always long. There are a lot of countries. There are a lot of teams sending delegations, and they deserve their shine.
Well, they didn't get any shine. Like that was my biggest critique.
30 seconds waving on a boat. The whole set. We have to talk about the ceremony, the content that we received.
So I applaud the country of France, for like trying to be different. You know, everybody does it in their arena. Every opening ceremony is like always in this big old arena. And they were like, well, what's the greatest thing about Paris is Paris. Like it's this historic, beautiful country.
They're really using the city.
Right. So we're going to do the Seine and Grand Palais and the Eiffel Tower. And we're not going to be like everybody else. And then you start to understand why everybody else does it in an arena, because it really can't be done in the way that it was. And there were moments that I thought were really sick. Like when that amazing singer sang the national anthem on top of the Grand Palais, like that was really sick. But other than that, it was not only raining, which isn't their fault, but like that's why you do it in an arena. It's weatherproof.
No, people don't like. It's boring, but it works, and it works for a reason.
And they had these like huge moments in the middle of like whatever this
on the banks
monument,
of the Seine.
And there were just like people lying around, and like it was just not. There was no focus.
Yeah,
there was no like attention on what was going on. And at the end of the day, my biggest critique is that like, why are we all watching the Olympics for the Olympians? I saw 3 Olympians. Like NBC did a good job. They had that girl on the boat and she was interviewing. She was doing the most that she could.
For the Team USA.
Yeah, but I don't know. I felt like there was no focus on the actual Olympians. And like, cool, the Seine, everyone's in a boat. They were crammed. You couldn't see anyone except for the person who was like holding the flag. And I don't know, it just felt like we're going to leave these athletes whose health is of the utmost importance out in the freezing rain for hours, 85 boats.
Yeah.
Why? So we can say we did it on the Seine? I don't know. And then, you know, people, you have to compare to like previous ones. And then they were just showing clips of like London and Beijing and like Athens when they did it.
You saw the sculptures?
Yes, the live art. Like, if we're going to compare, it was a flop.
It was a flop on every level. I think on like multiple levels. First, the athletes, which are the most important part and like the highlight, that's the point of the evening. Them on boats in the rain, like they're going to catch a cold. It looked so dreadful. These Olympians are like so excited. I'm sure they still like had a good time, but it genuinely looked miserable to be on. It looked miserable. It was miserable to watch. And I feel like, and I'm annoyed at the Olympics because I feel like people always are like, you guys are such haters. Like when I sit down on a Friday night at 7:00 after a week of working incredibly hard to put on a piece of content for 4 hours, trust me, I don't want to hate it.
Yeah, no,
I want to be awed and enjoy, and it's like a global moment. And you heard how excited we were on Friday.
I know.
These were not two haters.
No, we're not haters when it comes to the Olympics. Like it takes a lot for me to hate.
Let me tell you,
in this instance,
hated the opening ceremony. I thought it was was horrible. I thought everything about it was horrible. I thought it was so unpolished. I thought it was all over the park, all over those can dancers who couldn't lift a leg in the air. Where's Kelly and Judy?
Wait, the can dancers.
I thought it was going to be a parody. You know how sometimes like I feel like this was in that movie, the ballet movie.
Center Stage,
where like an instructor comes over and like fixes the person because they were being so messy. So I thought it was going to be like a little skit like that. No, they were just really terrible.
No, it was shocking.
Like, where are the great French dancers?
No, the can. I'm glad you brought that up. That was a real low, and I love a can.
And it should have been a high. It was like they're on the banks of the Seine. They're wearing these amazing outfits. They're doing an iconic French dance, and they couldn't even pull it off. It was so messy. The camera work was so messy. There was rain on all the lenses. They were like,
oh my God.
There
were rain on all, and I understand that it was raining, so like I give you a little bit of grace, but like
wipe the lens and go to a different cameraman.
My ADD, it was like the pimple thing. Like it was pissing me off. Wipe the fucking lens.
It wasn't even I could stand most of it. You were complaining about it more than me, but there were
giving me a headache.
Like frames that were just so blurry. We couldn't even see what we were looking at. It was just so messy. It was not well orchestrated. It was not well done.
And then the man in the pre-recorded clips, like who kept running with the torch and he was like, had his face covered. I was like,
if I never for the rest of my life found out who that man was and where he ran, I would have been completely fine.
Oh man, it was pissing me off so much.
They were trying to make like such a thing of it.
No, it really was unenjoyable and it was so boring. And I can only imagine if I had watched it live, which was probably longer, I would have been seriously pulling my hair out.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people also, a lot of the vignettes were incredibly offensive to their religion. There's like a lot of backlash within the Christian community, like the fake Last Supper, like just really and there was a lot of things and a lot of symbolism that I found disturbing, and not as a Christian woman, like Maria and all the beheaded women singing in the windows. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, that was like morbid.
Kids watch this. I thought that was so inappropriate. I thought it was really grotesque and like what is this?
No.
Like I really felt like, what am I watching?
Also, just want to say like our critiques, which will go on, are not reflective of Celine Dion. No. Those are two separate things.
Not at all. I want to say Celine Dion was the absolute high. She was incredible in any ceremony, like good or bad.
Blown away.
I was blown away. But they brought us to such a low right before her. The lighting of the torch, which to me was the culmination of everything that was horrible.
So slow.
That was horrible about this. Like, why have to be like this big helium balloon floating over France? It looked like Chernobyl. It was not beautiful. It was so silly. Like, it's just an Olympic torch. Let's just light it. Every French Olympian who's ever walked the earth carrying it together, like they just couldn't stop. They couldn't end it. And it wasn't even good.
Yeah, it was not good. Lady Gaga's performance, which was they were two performances that really like bookend, and it was Lady Gaga and Celine Dion. I had read that Lady Gaga's was pre-recorded, which is just an interesting to note, not a reflection on her. I'm sure it wasn't her idea. And I was underwhelmed by it.
I was underwhelmed by it, but in the context of the rest of the thing, it was one of the highlights. Yeah. But when I watched it, it was okay. I thought it was good. It was good. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was okay.
Yeah.
But underwhelming, I agree.
Celine Dion was so sick. The first of all, imagery of like being inside the Eiffel Tower is so iconic. The backstory of what she's been through like adds a layer of emotion to, and this being her first live performance in so long, adds a layer of emotion to the whole thing. She was 1000% singing live. She sounded incredible. She looked gorgine vagine. Everything about it was chilling. It was emotional. It was beautiful. It was stunning.
And it was enough to almost make you forget everything else that you just watched for 3.5 hours, but not entirely, but as close as one could be.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It also kept making me think about, the next Olympics is going to be in LA. America is like, we're so showy. We are so showy. And LA is the cornerstone of like glitz, glam, Hollywood, all the different things. And think about how many American celebrities Lady Gaga was there.
Yeah. Also another highlight, Beyonce doing the package for USA.
But that had nothing to do with Paris.
No, but
that was
talking
NBC.
About the things that I enjoyed. And
Obsessed.
Also that was fun because people didn't see it at 1:00. And then we all got to watch it together at 7:00 and we didn't know Beyonce was going to be there. It was so cute. Hey girls. Hey Beyonce.
Like Beyonce showing up. I wasn't expecting everything. The outfit, the boots. Obsessed. She looked amazing. The song perfect. The Olympians in her content. It was just like such a great send off to Team USA. And like, it was perfect. It was perfect. And I felt like it was a little bit, what we're going to see in LA. Like, that's what we bring.
Yeah, that's what we bring.
Beyonce. What do you bring?
No.
Duty-filled rivers?
In the span of 4 hours, I saw everything that the French have accomplished in their centuries long history, everything. Even Louis Vuitton was there, and that was fun. That was a highlight.
That was a highlight.
That was a cute moment. But like then it's like, okay, where's Hermes and Chanel? And they should have done more of the fashion
when you think
stuff.
about what they have and they didn't use, like
they have a lot. They showed us everything down to French undie, like every
craftsmanship,
a crumb on the floor. We saw everything possible that the French can take credit for. We got the gist. Great.
Yeah,
cool.
It's very interesting how on a global scale, when it comes to so not like celebrities, but like the big guy who started and ended was it. I guess they have this big soccer player, that bald guy. He's very handsome.
But he didn't even end it because then he gave it to Tony, who gave it to this. Like, just end it.
Yeah. But he bookended the it started and ended with him. I haven't heard of him. And then there are performers who obviously you want to prop up like your biggest stars. I didn't heard of them.
They had a pop star, French pop star that they were excited about. I thought she gave nothing.
Oh, I kind of liked her.
I liked her because it was like a song and a dance, and I thought the visuals were actually really cool because she was wearing gold and she was in front of a palace and like just if I was looking at it, it looked really nice. But I didn't see a lot of giving of much.
It was just, in my opinion, not my favorite.
It was a disaster, in my opinion.
It was chaos. Like when you were just like at a glance looking at different installations on the riverbanks and no one was even paying attention. And then the rain, like it was just everything. And at the end of the day, it didn't give a moment to the athletes, which really pissed me off, especially when they had like 5 countries crammed on one boat. Like give less of a shit.
Okay, but
and I don't care if you have one.
It was like so funny and interesting. Like which countries got their own boat, which countries could like stand to be together, who had the biggest delegations. It was really interesting.
It was, especially when we got to the eyes, Israel, Iran. Like it
Oh my
was
God, yeah.
the political landscape. And I actually thought that guy, I think his name is Mike, the bald-headed guy who's like literally never sleeps. He's on Peacock 24/7. He did a good job of like explaining. They had to move some people around at certain points in just like the geopolitical landscape of it all.
That couldn't be on the same boat?
Well, Iran, IR, and then Israel. And then Iraq.
Of course.
They had to put Iran and Iraq on different boats. So yes, I agree with that.
There was that meme when Portugal was in between North Korea and Qatar.
Was it? Yeah. NQR. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. And it was like Claudia's on a funny meme.
It was there are so many sort of beefs in the, also not, you know what I learned during the Olympic ceremony? Like how few flags I recognize. I literally know like America, I know Britain. I'm not even gonna lie, like Italy and France, like with the 3 different colors, they're the same layout but different colors. They do confuse me. I know Australia, that's like a classic one. I know Japan, they're so unique.
You know Canada.
I know Canada, I know China. But beyond that, like I really do get confused. And
you know Germany probably.
There's so many countries also, like lucky I never heard of. I need to do more on like my geography. I'm like flopping in that department. It was just interesting to see like how few flags I recognized. Also, and this is a question for the class, maybe you know the answer to this. Why are there so many countries whose colors are red, white, and blue? Great Britain, France, America, Australia. It's like kind of a popular trio.
I want to say that maybe like Great Britain and US are similar because like we're an offshoot of Great Britain. We extrapolated. Right. So like we took the flag and then we changed it. And I think same for Australia because they were part of the Commonwealth.
Okay.
But I also think you can make that argument about anything. And
let me ask you another question.
There are some colors that I think like just are better for flags.
I was going to say, what do you think is the most popular color in flags? Red? Yeah.
It's a strong, bold color.
It is.
I think like red, blue, and yellow, because those are the primary colors. And there's not a lot of purple out there.
No.
White too, also, and black.
Yeah. Flags, man.
I mean, flags are fascinating.
They are. And I just feel like we saw none. Like, and I don't know, even though if, Belize has one person, like he deserves his moment just as much. He's scrammed between 2 other delegations. Like he got nothing.
Perhaps on like Belize cock, they had a big package for him.
Belize cock. But I just mean in terms of visuals, like when it's in an arena, they call it out and everybody goes, no matter how big or small, like you get one moment.
Yeah. Also, what country is it that has that flag bearer who's like so iconic because he's always has his shirt off? He's like gone viral the last few years.
I have no idea. Oh, yes, I do. I saw it on Twitter, but I don't know.
I can't remember which country he was. But then this year he was like walking during the day, not on a boat. He like didn't get his classic moment.
It was flop.
It was flop.
It was.
And you saw also the Sens having drama. They can't swim.
Oh my God. Wait, what sport is supposed to be in there? I know like
triathlon or something. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the T? There's duty in there?
It didn't like pass the test for health of swimming.
No, because they were like so busy getting everybody on the Sen for the opening ceremony when they could have just had it in an arena like everybody else. It would have been sick.
it was just, they could have, they're precious and they wanted the athletes on boats, and it was really sad for them that it rained. That's not their fault.
No.
I feel like it still could have been done in a better way with all the other things happening, but there was just too much happening and it wasn't well coordinated enough. And I thought that the content was really, really nutty.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy. And, like they could have delivered a fart on a plate and I would have enjoyed it. Like my bar is so low when it comes to the Olympics. I felt myself getting frustrated too, because I'm like, first of all, get to it. Like you're dragging this out. And two, like show us the Olympians. Like tell us their stories, something. There was just it was so not about the Olympians.
No, but the opening ceremony is not about the Olympians as much as it's about the country city. And the city that's hosting and the history of the Olympics. Because every country that's broadcasting it is going to show you their Olympians. Like, you don't really want to hear about every Olympian from every country. You don't.
That's true. That's true. No, I don't. But I would have appreciated. But the Olympians
should get a better experience.
Definitely. And that, like, seriously, how many of them
Serena
have a cold?
Serena Williams was going to vomit.
Oh my God. Justice for Serena Williams. The footage of her on that boat, like, seriously was giving. She looked like she was fleeing. She was seriously like about to vomit over the side of this rinky-dink little boat.
It was choppy. It was rainy. Like it was too much.
Oh no. And then like some athletes who were on like smaller boats were seriously having a hard time with the wind and the rain, like choppy. Oh, I'm sure they were all vomiting. The big barge with the 500, almost 600 Americans, like they were fine. They weren't feeling it. But seriously, I hope they were handing out Dramamine or something, because those little boats, those little speedboats for the countries that had like 11 delegates, justice for them.
It was a wild ride.
It was a wild ride.
And it never ended.
It never ended.
And
I was getting so annoyed.
Finally, Celine put us out of our misery.
Oh my God, she was incredible. And I'm so glad the response.
But I wanted another song, just one more.
Me too.
It wasn't enough.
I'm so glad the response was as overwhelming as it was, because it must have been like a big deal for her to not only do this particular, like if you book this gig at any stage, it's huge. But given everything that she's been through, I'm so glad people are loving it as much as they are, because it was so incredible. Oh, and then to just piggyback off something I said on Friday, because I had said that I had heard Taylor Swift, we're passing the baton at the end of the opening ceremony to America, who's hosting next. I think that while that obviously didn't happen, I think it could happen at the closing ceremony.
Yeah.
That was my misunderstanding. Apparently they hand the baton off to the next country, which would make sense at the closing ceremony.
No, that makes a ton of sense.
So we're still holding out hope, the Swifties. And she's still, she was in Germany. She's a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yeah.
So since then, I've been consuming all the Olympics content and I'm really enjoying it. They couldn't deter me. So much going on, from swimming to, of course, girly gymnastics. This morning I was watching tennis, Nadal versus Djokovic. It's really...
They already played each other?
Yes.
So one of them's out?
Yeah. Who do you think?
Nadal.
Won or
out.
Lost. Yeah. He's also like at the end, I think he might even be retired. Like, don't quote me on that.
Oh, he was in the ceremony too, right?
Yes. But
Walking.
He's Spanish.
Right.
That's how you knew, like, they really needed, they started tapping on other countries. They said, Nadal, get over here.
I can sympathize that they didn't have like the biggest names in every category.
Yeah. Not everyone
Especially
can be
because
America.
their history, they have some of the biggest names in history. So like, congrats to you.
You can't have it all.
Congrats.
Yeah.
But nobody was asking for so many people.
We were just asking for Celine.
We could have had one person carry the torch
the entire time
to the end. Mm-hmm. They were scraping on the bottom of the barrel. Like, we didn't need a barrel of people.
No, we needed a barrel of laughs and a barrel of love, and we got neither of those.
We just needed like one guy. You didn't have to go to Spain too.
It was a lot, but there are a lot of famous athletes who aren't like Olympians by trade there this year. Coco Gauff, Nadal, Djokovic, a lot in tennis. Of course, a lot in USA basketball. And to follow up on a conversation, I've been doing so much research. USA basketball is not staying in the Olympic Village.
And they haven't for like 30 years.
But that's because, you don't have to stay in the Olympic Village, but a lot of these teams are like underfunded. So a very strange fun fact, because a lot of people are like, why is Flavor Flav at the Olympics? He sponsors the women's water polo team. So he helps them with a lot of their expenses, which is disgraceful that they're so underfunded.
Did you see now that the women's rugby team has collaborated with Jason Kelsey to be their Flavor Flav? I don't know if he's paying them, but he's like giving them good vibes.
I did see Jason Kelsey just sort of doing the most in a beret. Love. Like,
is he in France?
Yeah. He was like sitting in the stands wearing a beret. Obsessed. Like, that's the type of partnership you'd love to see from, Americans. That's Americans doing their American thing. But when it comes to Olympic Village, Coco Gauff had responded to a TikTok about it. She said it's up to each like delegation based on really finances. I think it's free to stay in the Olympic Village. USA Tennis, Coco Gauff's team, gets hotels. But she said she's staying in the Olympic Village. She's like wants to experience it. It's like a whole thing. And most of her teammates are at a hotel. I think if you've done it once, it's like probably more than enough.
I'm set.
I'm all set. But for a first timer like Coco, she's roughing it with the rest of them.
That's good to know. And good to know that LeBron James is not sleeping in that bed.
He couldn't.
No.
He literally couldn't. He would fall apart. So that's that on that. I think I might have some more thoughts throughout the episode, but that girl, I watched that girlie from Brazil. They say there's an Olympian on the Brazilian gymnastics team who's like kind of giving Simone a run for her money.
Well, she like shined in Tokyo, correct?
Right. But it's easy to shine when
Simone's
not
there.
out.
But even if she was like first and second, she would have been second and third. Like she was really up there.
So the Brazilian team went last night. They've got something. They've got, I think they're going to give Team America a run for their money. I do think Team America is kind of untouchable when it comes to gymnastics, but you never know.
You never know.
I don't want to jinx it.
Okay, are you ready for our next story?
Am I done talking about the Olympics? I guess for now,
Well, the thing is, we'll be talking about them for the next 14 days.
Oh, it's already 2 days
Not every
gone.
day will be like a huge story like this, but when there's major news, mostly probably will be like recap in the beginning, but there was a lot that happened in the last 72 hours.
Correct.
At Olympics HQ.
Olympics HQ.
Our next story is some new couple news that I couldn't have written any better. One of our favorite single swirlies, Victoria Fuller, is now dating Titans quarterback Will Levis after her breakup with Greg Grippo.
Help. I don't get it.
Victoria Fuller.
Yeah,
Claudia,
who's Will Levis?
He's a major quarterback.
I don't know him. What team?
I feel like your husband's always talking about him, the Titans.
I feel like nobody's ever, no offense, talking about the Tennessee Titans.
I know, but why do I know the name Will Levis? Like, I feel like when he was drafted, he has a story.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
Victoria's moving on up is the headline.
Well, that's so important because I think a lot of people were very upset at her last breakup in the sense that they had a lot of hope for these two. They were sort of reality TV royalty, and I was surprised when they broke up. I'm not going to lie. You thought I'd be more in tune with my twin. She's literally so insanely gorgeous. Like, you can't keep a girl like this down.
No.
Like, this is just the beginning. I don't know if this is the end all be all for her, but like, she is going to end up dating Tom Brady or something. Like, when you're that beautiful, like, it just kind of happens.
Yeah, but she also has like pizzazz. I think what the kids call Riz. Because a lot of girls are beautiful.
Yep.
But like,
she has Riz.
You gotta, have combo, have banter, as they say on Love Island.
Yeah, and she also like has personality and beauty, brains, the
Style,
whole lot.
grace, all of it.
Elegance, some would say. So love that for her.
Why do I feel like you and your husband are always talking about Will Levis? Can you ask him? Just be like, do you know Will Levis?
Let me look him up first, see if it jogs anything. Oh no, I don't want to install update. Leave me alone. Will,
because also I was kind of upset when her and Greg broke up because I thought they were really well matched, even though I don't know him.
Okay, I've never seen this person in my life. I think you're thinking of someone else. I know who you're thinking of. I think his name is Will Lutz. And he is a kicker for the New Orleans Saints, and he like came to one of my shows once because his wife was a toaster, and I was like freaking out.
Okay, maybe, but you know what? I'm just gonna text the husbands quickly just to like find out if this is like a great player, if this should be like the last stop for her, or
I think she can do better.
I'm
kidding. I mean, I just don't. I think the Titans are like kind of a losery team, not to be so mean, but they're never making waves.
Okay, but it means that she doesn't have to leave Nashville.
Oh, I forgot about the Nashville of it all. She lives in Nashville?
She lives in Nashville.
Oh, it's giving Nashville royalty.
Right.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Let's see what the husbands say about him.
But I hate to break it to you. I fear you must be thinking of someone else because
clearly
people like don't talk about this man. They are now, but thanks to Victoria.
You think so?
What do you think his contract is? He's 6'4".
Oh, I'm sure we could find it.
25 years old.
He was in the second draft of the 2023 NFL draft.
Oh, so he's like kind of new.
Yeah, he's young.
He's got a 4-year, $9.5 million contract with the Tennessee Titans, including a $4 million signing bonus and 8.7 guaranteed.
So that's something.
He's bringing in about $2.5 million a year. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
That's something to scoff at, if you will.
No. So anyways, I'm happy for her.
So am I. I think this is a tough loss for a lot of people who were hoping for her and Greg to get back together.
No, I'm not hoping for them to get back together as long as like she's doing great things.
And it appears as though she is.
Right, which is why I was happy to see the news this morning.
Is this a story you said at the beginning of the show you were like so excited to talk about?
I was.
Okay, is that because you thought there was more to the Will Levis
I just thought like you would be more impressed.
I'm extremely impressed. Don't mistake my confusion for like a lack of impression. It's just I'm sorry to this man.
You don't know him yet, but you're ready to get to know him.
Correct.
I think he's cute.
Extremely cute. I think anybody who makes that kind of money is cute.
Okay, well, good luck to the new couple.
Good luck to them.
May you end up like our next couple, because rumors are that Lady Gaga is engaged to her normie man's Michael Polansky.
I forgot her and her Normans were still together.
Right. So the singer confirmed the news by introducing the entrepreneur as her fiancé to the French Prime Minister at the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. Lady Gaga is engaged to her longtime boyfriend, entrepreneur and tech investor Michael Polansky.
I thought it was like an audio engineer. Am I making that up, or is that a different guy?
No, isn't that Hillary Duff's man's?
No. He's like a producer. Matthew Coma.
Well, whichever one, maybe they can come here and help us with our
Please
podcast.
Help us.
So in a TikTok posted on Sunday, she can be heard introducing him as her fiance as the trio spectated a swimming event together.
This is just a really crazy way for us to find out. It's so bizarre. And I don't think it was a secret necessarily. And I don't know if she had plans to announce in her own way. But seeing as how in this day and age, like celebrities have not one lick of privacy, like the fact that she can't introduce someone to someone without like her whole spot being blown up is really crazy. I'm happy for her. Although I do feel like Lady Gaga loves being engaged. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like
that's not like a huge step for her.
I don't think
it's a step she takes unabashedly.
Yeah, I think she is serious about marriage. Like she's never been married. She's had a lot of serious relationships, but she's never been married. I feel like she treats, getting engaged like she just loves jewelry.
I understand that.
No, I love that.
And to love also. It's a culmination. Like getting engaged is really fun.
She was engaged to Taylor Kinney.
Yeah.
She was engaged to that agent, right?
She was.
So I love that for her. I don't want anyone to get too excited about the pending nuptials of Miss Gaga. I do feel like this is sort of just like kind of her thing, which I love.
Oh, so you don't see it necessarily as more
I think
telling.
it'll be a really big deal when the day comes that Lady Gaga gets married. I don't know. Her getting engaged to me isn't a sort of security that she's going to get married to this man.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but now I am.
You know, I'm a critical thinker like that.
No, you are.
That's what they say about me.
You are.
And not to, always bring up 5'2".
But
and maybe I'm just so influenced by her documentary and it wasn't meant to be that.
Because you're 5'1".
Right. It wasn't meant to be that influential. I feel like her story ends with Taylor Kinney. Even though I think he just had a baby with someone. Like, I feel as though, and they say this, she says this, it's really right person, wrong time. They couldn't work it out. Like, it just, I don't know. I'm holding a candle for these two. I really am. And I think I'm the only one.
I'm good with this relationship. If this is the one, I'm good with that.
How do you feel about like someone of Lady Gaga's stature dating a normie?
I feel good about it because I really don't think that like two stars, I think it's very rare that two stars, even if they're in like one's a singer, one's an actor, I think it's really hard for them to make it work. That's why it's so impressive when it does. So I do feel like someone like Lady Gaga needs the balance of a regular person.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that with Taylor Kinney, even though he is also a star, like they're so different. A, they're in different fields, and B, like he's really just like a working actor, and
it can be done. We see it all the time, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban.
But they're on the same level. That's why it's impressive. Lady Gaga is not on the same level as Taylor Kinney, and that's why it was perfect. He's just kind of this like, he's on Chicago PD. He's like a soap actor now. Like it's perfect.
No, but I think that's when it gets sticky, when like two people are pursuing, let's just say fame.
No, but it's different. It's different parts of fame.
Fame for your art.
No. And I also thought the agent was a good match.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot to be said for marrying somebody in the business, but who's in a completely different part of it and a part that's behind the scenes.
Right. So, but then it's like you have to think about the fact that these two people, their jobs have to sort of complement each other, but not clash. And then they also have to like each other and get along and be able to, then there's the personality aspect. It's not just like, so yes, an agent would be a good match, but maybe they just didn't like each other enough.
Right, like personality.
Right. It's just like relationship things.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see this as the end, but I'm so often so wrong about things. Like literally thought Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce like had never even met, and lo and behold, they've been dating for a few months. So why anyone would listen to me is beyond my level of expertise.
Also, I think what's critical here is he's an entrepreneur and tech investor, which could mean so many different things. It could mean
Mark Cuban is an entrepreneur and tech investor, and so is like a homeless person. Like
right.
It's a wide array of.
So
of
like,
peeps.
Is he a really successful businessman? Because then he falls into businessman Bo, and that's a big check from the Toasty community.
Did you feel that thunder?
I did. Thunder.
Are you feeling
feel the thunder?
Scared? Like you maybe want to cuddle? Come here, I'll keep you safe.
I'm scared of you more than the thunder.
The turdy storm.
Do you want to cuddle?
No, actually, I joke.
That wouldn't be a great audio experience.
Not only that, like you don't give, no offense, like good cuddle vibes. You just feel like you would be rigid and be like, get off of me.
Yeah.
Even if you were giving it your all, I would know your heart isn't in it. And I don't want to cuddle with someone who doesn't want to cuddle with me. That's like seriously like creepy.
Yeah. Well, you could always grab Brewy. He loves a cuddle.
He does, my big boy.
But now he's cozy on the cords. Are you ready for our next story?
No.
No.
Are you?
No, because I need to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by ByHeart. Today's episode of The Toast is brought to you by ByHeart. ByHeart is an infant nutrition company built from the ground up to deliver real innovation on behalf of babies and parents. Their mission is simple: make the best formula in the world. This year, our friends at ByHeart, the only American-made formula with globally sourced ingredients to use organic, grass-fed whole milk, never skim, are celebrating all the ways in which they never skim on anything, especially your babies. ByHeart never skims on healthy fats using only organic, grass-fed whole milk. Whole milk is full of healthy fats like naturally occurring MFGM, which play an important role in brain development and growth. And ByHeart never skims on their standards. Their formula is made with certified clean ingredients, plus it has no soy, corn syrup, GMOs, or palm oil. So try ByHeart today and celebrate their commitment to never skim on all the important benefits when it comes to infant formula. Curious about ByHeart? Redeem your welcome offer at byheart.com/podcast with code TOAST20 for a limited time. Additional terms and conditions apply. Yes, ByHeart is a great infant formula option because it is made with organic grass-fed whole milk, which are like literally the three things I'm always looking for in dairy products that I might be giving to baby or toddler. So if you are curious about ByHeart, redeem your welcome offer at byheart.com/podcast with code TOAST20.
And today's episode is also brought to you by Macy's. Macy's home sale is the best time to refresh your home right in time for fall. They have up to 65% off ceramic cookware, furniture, coffee, espresso machines, and more. It's going from July 31st to August 18th, and you can shop it in-store or online at Macy's.com. So summer's biggest savings have finally arrived. If you're updating your home and you can't wait to explore the sale, just know they're doing up to 65% off ceramic cookware, furniture, even espresso machines. So it's running through August 18th. If you're in need of a little home refresh, now is the perfect time to check out Macy's.com or visit the store. If your coffee machine just broke or you're just like over the one you currently have, right now, their biggest home sale of the summer, it's running through September 4th, up to 65% off on coffee machines, espresso machines. Super excited to head over to Macy's.com or in-store at Macy's near you to check out their big sale. Also, with the summer games, you can cheer on your favorite teams this year during the summer games in Paris. So brands like Puma, Reebok, Under Armour, Adidas, and Nike are all available to shop at Macy's.com or in store. You know us, we're just like sitting on the couch all day watching these games, and you want to look at your best, want to feel sporty, feel athletic, feel like you're a part of the crew. Just like athletes dedicate years to perfecting their game, Ralph Lauren has been creating timeless styles for over 57 years, serving as the official outfitter for our national team. You can snag the same gear as your favorite athletes at Macy's and truly embody the spirit of a champion. So check out Macy's.com for that big summer sale and Macy's in store. Everything you could possibly need this summer. Thanks, Macy's.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next story, a lot of couple news today. Chris Pratt shares a sweet pic of his pregnant wife, Katherine Schwarzenegger. So they are expecting another baby.
Is this news?
The news so people that she's pregnant is what's news.
How many? This is their second?
This is baby number 3.
And 4 for him.
And 4 for him. Yes, baby number 3 of them together. Sorry, like please don't cancel me that I said that.
There is like so much lore around how many kids.
Are seriously like a landmine.
Yeah, they are for
themselves.
They're polarizing.
And also like for anyone who says anything glowing about them as a couple, you're shading Anna Faris.
You're not.
No, you're not. I love Anna Faris. She's like one of the all-time greatest actresses and podcasters.
I know it's like so annoying the way we can't talk about these two without talking about Anna Faris, and we are going to get to these two. Congrats.
By the way, we're like being the toxic ones because
we're doing it.
We're doing it, but also I feel like we've been pushed into this corner.
But I would love a documentary on Anna Faris. I feel like there's something there in terms of like how you go from starring in like the biggest movie. There was like a couple of years where a movie wasn't made without Anna Faris, and if it was, like it was an automatic hit. And then the podcast really blew up and she was very ahead of her time. She's very quiet now. She lives a very private life. The podcast is sort of on the fritz. I would love to know what went down. And I do feel like it has to do with the dissolution of her marriage. Like the timing is curious.
Perhaps.
Or perhaps not.
I don't know enough. But yes, of course. Like she was here and now she's not.
Right. So, and she was here in such a major way.
Yeah. So it makes you wonder.
Question.
Donde está Anna Faris? I hope wherever she is that she's doing really well.
Yeah. Now back to these two. Happy for them. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Very, very happy.
They're so
and sweet.
low key.
Oh, speaking of girl families, for Katherine Schwarzenegger, of course, Chris Pratt has a son.
Yeah.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' gender of their fourth child was revealed, and it's a boy. So they have 3 girls and a boy now.
Okay, I didn't know that like they were withholding that information.
We did, because I said we had the name, and then you were like, do we have the gender? And I was like, I don't know. I thought they had 4 girls, but I don't remember.
And the name was kind of ambiguous when it came to gender.
But it turns out it's a a boy.
Got it.
So
okay.
3 girls and a boy.
And Anna Faris did they say what she's pregnant with currently?
Katherine Schwarzenegger.
Freudian slip.
Yeah. No, they did not. But I'm getting like girl vibes just because she's wearing pink, but it was like her other daughter's birthday. So
you never know.
You never know.
Well, I feel like these two like don't know peace. Like they're always getting in trouble for something. So happy that they could have this moment, like for real.
Yeah, I hope that these two like really do stay off of the internet, because once you shut your phone off, like there's peace.
Yeah.
Because all the hate that comes their way is just on their devices.
Yeah. It just sort of exists in a vacuum, if you will.
So like I hope they just don't go on their phones, much like Ballerina Farm. Like she might not know.
She knows.
She might not know.
Sometimes, like when Chris Pratt bought that house and they were going to demolish it and people were like, wait, like somebody made it, like let's clean it up. Like I think backlash like that is just whatever. With Ballerina Farms, like the way it was like such a topic of conversation in culture for like a multitude of days, that's the sort of feedback, if you will, that you kind of can't ignore.
I could see her putting her phone in a drawer and then going out to the farm, and it doesn't exist on the farm. Like that's the thing. That's what's beautiful. Like I feel like if all of your tension and stress is like coming from your phone, and you could just like set it down, and if it doesn't exist outside of your phone, like you're free.
It sounds nice in theory. Ooh, thunder, feel the thunder.
But some people have to get back on their phone. So like a Ballerina Farm, actually she goes and milks the cows. Like she's on a working farm, she can go back on her phone whenever she feels like it. Chris Pratt and Katherine Schwarzenegger, she's a bit of an influencer, so she kind of has to get on her phone.
But they have the luxury.
But she'll be okay if she doesn't.
If she doesn't, exactly.
And same for him.
Yeah.
He'll just, go get another movie.
Correct.
Are you ready for our 5th and final story? More couple news.
It's kind of a romantic day.
One of your favorite actresses. Just kidding.
Oh.
I don't know how you feel about this person.
I'll tell you.
Schwarzenegger Ronan.
Okay, her name is Saoirse.
Schwarzenegger Ronan.
No, it's Saoirse Ronan. It's Saoirse.
Saoirse Ronan marries Jack Lowden in a secret ceremony in Scotland. So Saoirse is a married lady now. They said their I do's in Edinburgh.
I'll tell you how I feel.
Okay.
So I have an extremely special place in my heart for Saoirse Ronan because of that movie, The Lovely Bones.
Right. Oh my God. I just saw in my algorithm a tidbit about that movie that Stanley Tucci, he plays the predator in the movie, and he was so disturbed by the role that he actually tried to get out of it.
Oh.
But he couldn't.
It's based off of a book. It was a very popular book and a very popular movie. And it's just so underrated. Like, because Saoirse's a star now, and I don't think people attribute that movie with like her rise. But it definitely put her on the map, at least for me. And that movie really...
it's really disturbing.
And it like left a mark on me as a kid.
Stanley Tucci.
And it's just a fun fact that like Stanley Tucci, he's so dynamic. Like how you could play like that sassy gay from Devil Wears Prada and then this psychotic serial killer. Like it's so crazy.
Yeah.
But that's called range. And that's why Stanley Tucci is the Tooch. I'll say that. But then Saoirse Ronan, she kind of lost me because when she got so famous, it was for that movie Lady Bird, which I did end up seeing years later, but I didn't see in the moment. There was so much fanfare, and it was Timothy and Greta Gerwig, and that's just like a part of culture I don't like simp for. So I was like, I kind of felt distant from her for a little bit.
But also she got really big for the movie Brooklyn. Did you watch that movie?
Of course not.
I watched it.
Did you like it?
She was great. I just didn't think it was like a really compelling story. It was like about like a girl who... She was from Ireland. She like emigrated here to New York. The classic tale.
Yeah, Ellis
But I just thought it
Island.
was so crazy. Like at one point in the movie, she like goes back to Ireland. I think like because someone passes away. And I just when I think of the people who like emigrated to this country, like they read for their lives.
No, and they never turned back.
There was no going back and visiting.
But I think Saoirse is kind of like an icon in the Irish community. One, because she's like arguably one of the most famous Irish people, and like her big role, like you said, was telling the story of this great Irish immigrant. So I think that there are pockets of people who like seriously would take a bullet for Saoirse Ronan. I'm not one of them, but I see her.
And you don't stand in their way. And you're not the one firing the bullet.
No. And I do feel like my life was changed when I did learn how to properly pronounce her name. Because for so many years, like I felt like weird talking about her. And then somebody was like, I don't even remember where I learned her name. I think maybe she explained it when she hosted SNL, and she was like, just S-U-R. She was like, imagine it's Saoirse. And every time I see her name, I'm like, okay, S-U-R. The way she explained it to me, like, actually, I'll never pronounce her name wrong now. She did a really good job. So Saoirse Ronan.
Thanks, Saoirse.
And, you know, I just feel like she's also Little Women, right?
Yeah.
She's she's Greta's girl.
And she also like keeps passing us by. Like she's doing these huge things and it just happens to not be like the thing that's huge for us. Even though like the fact that we haven't read or seen Little Women
disgraceful.
Being like a family of girls is so weird.
It's disgraceful. But all that to say is the reason I feel like her success was sort of a blind spot in my pool of interests is because I'm not like, I think some people like seriously like wait to see what Greta Gerwig is going to do. And then like there are Greta girlies. And I think they're a little bit younger than me. She's kind of Gen Z. I'm not a Greta girly. So I don't like follow Greta and be like, oh, Greta. And I think Greta is sort of instrumental in the rise of Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah.
And that's just for me like sort of like a blind spot.
You can't dance at every wedding. You can't see every movie. And not everything is going to be your beat.
No, but I have so many things. Right now my thing is the Olympics. Like do not try and get me into anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see? No.
Oh, I saw Saoirse. I've seen a lot of Saoirse. I saw Saoirse in Mary Queen of Scots.
That's so her.
And Margot Robbie was in it. And Joe Alwyn. And like, I didn't love that movie either. But it told like an important story about an important part of history. Like Queen Elizabeth I, Mary Queen of Scots, and like their beef.
I can say proudly, I have never seen anything with Joe Alwyn, except actually that's not true. When he was in that Hulu show, I gave it a chance. It was bad. But he had a sex scene, and I was like, okay, this is weird. Because him and Taylor were still dating at the time, and I was like, this is inappropriate. This is someone's husband. It was like serious.
You need to talk to that guy from Desperate Housewives.
Correct. It felt weird. I was just like, this feels like I shouldn't be watching, and that's when I turned it off.
Well, Mazel Tov to Saoirse.
Mazel Tov to Saoirse. I feel like Saoirse has a really good work-life balance. Like, she's a nice level of fame. She's definitely really rich, but she can totally go to Target. Like, nobody cares.
Totally. She just blends.
She blends.
She's
and
a
now,
chameleon.
And she was able to like get married and have a normal. Like, this is great. I think that's a nice like level of fame.
Yeah.
Manageable.
So cute.
But she also gets to like go to the Oscars.
No, and she was like at Glastonbury, probably like VIP.
Yeah. But she also
could also be in the crowd if she wanted.
She goes to like the Met Gala. Like she kind of has it all.
Yeah.
She's like a fashion girly too. So she's like really elite.
Yeah, I think she's the face of Louis Vuitton.
Not to be like a jealous bench, but like who isn't, you know? Sorry, it's like everyone's one of them. They have like 1,000 faces. It's like not special anymore.
Yeah.
That's why I think Zendaya left. Like she was like one of the big faces and it's like everyone. So now she's like Bulgari. I don't know.
Something to be said.
So all that to say, Louis, I cannot work with you.
She's declined.
Stop asking. All right, those are good stories.
Those are the Fast Five stories. Lots of love in the air. I guess it's the summers. Does that make people more inclined to like
No, I feel like summer is like single season.
Totally, and it's cuffing in the fall.
But it is wedding season. People love to, if you're already in a relationship, you love to get married because you outdoor weddings, beautiful weather.
And I feel like it's a good time to get engaged if you're already in a relationship, like a picturesque engagement.
Yeah, but I don't think like single people feel like they want to be in a relationship this time of year. If anything, it's like party season, encouraging like singleness. And then the winter rolls around and that loneliness starts to set in. You're like, damn, maybe I should find a nice chubby boyfriend to cuddle with.
Totally. Except I feel like for Victoria Fuller, she's played it right because he's about to go into training camp and like he's not looking for a girlfriend. But if she can like be there for him, cook him like meals and really be like a steady force like Jonathan Owens.
Yeah, not to make everything about Victoria Fuller.
By the time the season ends, like they'll be in an 8-month relationship.
Correct.
Where's her ring? Just saying.
I would say where's his ring, but we all know he's not going to win the Super Bowl. Not to be mean.
Maybe with Victoria by his side.
Maybe that's just what the Tennessee Titans needed.
That's kind of, it works for a lot of people.
It's a tale as old as time.
Look at Travis Kelce doing big things with a strong woman by his side. Don't talk about the big things he did before her.
Yeah, okay.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't work for your argument.
Point.
Yeah, no.
Like Christian McCaffrey wasn't doing anything before he met Olivia.
No, for sure. For sure. So those are the stories. Hope you enjoyed. We can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thank you. Oh, just a quick announcement is that the pre-sale for our Atlantic City show has begun. So if you're a Patreon member, make sure to head over to Patreon, get that code, and get your tickets before everybody else. Thank you so much for listening to the Toast Millennial Morning Show, where we deliver the Fast 5 stories you need to know every Monday through Friday on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. We're also available as a podcast anywhere podcasts can be found on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Public Radio, Radio, Castbox, all the places where we send podcasts. That's a Toast 5-star review about how beautiful, about how stunning, about how wickedly talented we are.
Love ya. Bye.